Brought to you by Penguin.
The Good Soldier by Ford Madox Ford, read by Billy Howle, with an introduction read by David Shaw Parker.
Both for ease of listening and because it contains details of the plot, we've placed the introduction to this Penguin classic at the end of the audiobook.
Dedicatory letter to Stella Ford. My dear Stella, I have always regarded this as my best book, at any rate as the best book of mine of a pre-war period, and between its writing and the appearance of my next novel, nearly 10 years must have elapsed, so that whatever I may have since written may be regarded as the work of a different man, as the work of your man. For it is certain that without the incentive to live that you offered me, I should scarcely have survived the war period, and it is more certain still that without your spurring me again to write, I should never have written again. And it happens that, by a queer chance, The Good Soldier is almost alone amongst my books in being dedicated to no one. Fate must have elected to let it wait the 10 years that it waited for this dedication. What I am now I owe to you. What I was when I wrote The Good Soldier I owed to the concatenation of circumstances of a rather purposeless and wayward life. Until I sat down to write this book, on the 17th of December 1913, I had never attempted to extend myself, to use a phrase of racehorse training. Partly because I had always entertained very fixedly the idea that, whatever may be the case with other writers, I at least should not be able to write a novel by which I should care to stand before reaching the age of 40, partly because I very definitely did not want to come into competition with other writers whose claim, or whose need for recognition, and what recognitions bring, were greater than my own. I had never really tried to put into any novel of mine all that I knew about writing. I had written rather desultorily a number of books, a great number, but they had all been in the nature of pastiches, of pieces of rather precious writing, or of tour de force. But I have always been mad about writing, about the way writing should be done, and partly alone, partly with the companionship of Conrad. I had even at that date made exhaustive studies into how words should be handled and novels constructed. So, on the day I was 40, I sat down to show what I could do, and The Good Soldier resulted. I fully intended it to be my last book. I used to think, and I do not know that I do not think the same now, that one book was enough for any man to write, and, at the date when The Good Soldier was finished, London at least, and possibly the world, appeared to be passing under the dominion of writers newer and much more vivid. Those were the passionate days of the literary cubists, vorticists, imagistes, and the rest of the tapageurs, and riotous jeunes of that young decade. So I regarded myself as the eel which, having reached the deep sea, brings forth its young and dies, or as the great auk I considered that, having reached my allotted, I had laid my one egg and might as well die. So I took a formal farewell of literature in the columns of a magazine called The Thrush, which also, poor little auk that it was, died of the effort. Then I prepared to stand aside in favour of our good friends, yours and mine, Ezra, Eliot, Wyndham Lewis, H.D., and the rest of the clamorous young writers who were then knocking at the door. But greater clamours beset London, and the world, which till then had seemed to lie at the proud feet of those conquerors. Cubism, vorticism, imagism, and the rest never had their fair chance amid the voices of the cannon. And so I have come out of my hole again, and beside your strong, delicate, and beautiful works, have taken heart to lay some work of my own. The Good Soldier, however, remains my great auk's egg for me, as being something of a race that will have no successors, and as it was written so long ago, I may not seem over-vain if I consider it for a moment or two. No author, I think, is deserving of much censure for vanity if, taking down one of his 10-year-old books, he exclaims, "Great heavens, did I write as well as that, then?" For the implication always is that one does not any longer write so well, and fewer...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?